Alright, weird tangent before I start a video that is going to be a little bit on the rambly side. Um, my fiance found this hat. It is a hat for my favorite band called The Hip Abduction that I got at a concert a while ago, and I'm weirdly, happy we found this because I was watching one of my old videos after reading a comment, kind of went down this rabbit hole, and I saw the hat, and I was like, oh man, where did that hat go? It's in 3 bags of stuff that in 8 months of having lived here, I somehow haven't gone through. So, yay? I don't know. Is that a good thing? I guess it is that I found it. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is something that I think I don't give enough credit to as I do my everyday things. And that is hair growth when you can't see. And it's always happening, but in the last almost exactly a year, we're knocking on, it'll be 11 months, a little after Valentine's Day, and then in March, it'll be a whole year that I've been growing my hair out. But when you can't see, that process looks a little bit different, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So I started growing my hair out for the first time after I jumped out of an airplane. I went skydiving with a really good friend of mine, and after that point, just didn't go get my hair cut. And at first, it wasn't really intentional. It just kind of happened throughout the summer. And then the summer turned into the fall, and I started getting curls in my hair, which I did not know was a thing that I had. And the first time I grew it out, it was horrible. And I had been using 2-in-1 shampoo, like a lot of other college dudes who didn't care about my hair. And I didn't know how to do anything any different until I found this company. Those of you who watch the channel or know me know that I will not shut up about the long hairs, and there's a reason for that. When I found them, at first it was just like, oh, there's other guys who have grown out their hair, that's cool. And then it was, there's products that they make specifically for guys who are growing out their hair. That's cool, I'm gonna buy them. So I did. And I had some really, really bad haircuts and had quite the adventure growing it out the first time. And I learned a lot because so much of what's attached to hair growth and really attached to how you are perceived in society is visual. And I don't have the ability to pick up on a lot of the nuances that come with these things. And so for me, hair growth as a concept was something that made a lot of sense to me. But once you started breaking it down or talking about certain specifics, it was really hard for me to get a grasp on what they meant. And the long hairs helped me break that down by things like blog posts about specific hairstyles. They talked about certain misconceptions that people had about guys with long hair, and all with this amazingly California branding and kind of persona. I almost tried to put those together, and they are already together because personality. Made more sense in my head. Anyway, so I grew my hair out for the first time and had horrible haircuts. I would try really hard to go into a stylist, and I can tactily feel the ends of my hair. So even right now, my ends aren't too bad. I wouldn't actually say that they're in need of a trim at the moment, but when I do, I can pinpoint by sense of touch. So let's just say, for sake of argument, usually it's about, and I don't even know if this is going to come up on camera, it's about this much hair. So about a finger width of hair, maybe, that needs to come off during a typical trim. And I can tactily tell you that. What never happened is that the hair amount that I pointed out, that I spoke about, that I read these blogs about being specific with your hairdresser and talking with them so that they would listen to you and understand what you need, it never happened. I always left with more hair getting cut off my head than I wanted, and it felt like I was going backwards. And from about 2017, 2018, somewhere in there, I think it was 2018 that I officially started growing out, through 2024, I had so many haircuts where I would guess if I wouldn't have taken them, I probably would have had 4 or 5 inches of hair, in addition to what I had by the time I got to March of 2024. And I would say from 2020 onwards was my healthiest hair growth, and there's a huge reason for that. I stopped going to hairdressers, and when I met, at the time she was my girlfriend, I let her trim the ends, and she listened and cut off the amount of hair that I wanted off my head. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, that almost felt like you didn't trim my hair. Perfect. I can, again, tactily feel the ends and know that you did the thing that I asked you to do. And I really appreciated that. And from 2020 to 2024, my hair was a lot healthier because number one, I knew how to take care of it from the long hairs. And a lot of that was, again, intensive reading, whether it was blogs, watching their YouTube videos. I will link their channel in the description down below. Or looking at, there's a Facebook group that I'm in with other guys who are growing out their hair. And if I ever had questions about things or wanted to talk about a specific style, I have a place to go. And so got to shout out guys like Dan in that group, who's always like willing to answer questions, Victor as well. There is a community there. And when you put resources and a community to work together, all of a sudden you have a situation where as a blind person, it doesn't matter that I can't see it. I have the ability to get the answers I need. And that really meant a lot to me. And in 2020, I started working with kids. And for me, this was kind of maybe a temporary career. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know how to be a teacher or really work with kids very well beyond a few experiences I had had in years prior. And all of a sudden I went from one job working with kids to another. I started out in COVID working a virtual, it was an in-person program, but while the kids were attending school virtually. And so we were in class with them as they were in Zoom meetings, and we were everything from a nurse and a lunchroom staff to a gym teacher, science teacher, English teacher. Like, we did it all. And I lost that job when our kids got sent back to school in person. And all of a sudden I ended up at a nursery, and I bounced around from there to a pizza place, back to the same nursery for a while, and then a private school, and now my current job, which is with a Boys and Girls Club. And the thing that amazed me throughout this process is when I was growing out my hair and I learned more about an organization called Children with Hair Loss, that had real impactful meaning because I had worked with kids. I hadn't worked with any kids with alopecia, things like that I had been aware of. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened since, but when the long hairs and CWHL kind of really pushed their partnership and announced the Great Cut for 2024, I was instantly on board in a way that I don't know if I was always aware until it was announced, and I was like, I'm doing it. And in the months leading up, just knowing like I have to take care of my hair because this is now not my hair, but that they had given me the tools to do that, and all I needed to do was hold up my end of that and take care of my hair. It made it a lot easier to do. I have a very specific routine that I follow, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But what amazed me is how easy it was for me to commit to it and stick with it. And last year, as you probably saw on this channel, I went to San Diego and donated 14 inches of hair to the Great Cut 2024. And that experience from the night before, getting a chance to meet the long hairs, and also sat down with a mom whose daughter was a hair recipient and got the chance to hear her story. And then the next day, the daughter, I'm so sorry, I cannot remember your names off the top of my head, helped cut my hair. And that was so cool because it was like, you received hair and now you get to help give it. And I got to help give it. And so donating 14 inches of hair and walking out after the cut and just feeling like the ocean breeze on my scalp, on my head, was insane to me. And so began the process of growing my hair back out. And I went to a place called the Lion's Mane Grooming Company in San Diego. 12 out of 10 in terms of stylists. Shelby and Dominic, like, peace. You guys are so cool. And I'm excited to go out there again later this year and have Shelby hopefully get me back dialed and back in style as I prepare to grow my hair out for another about 5 years. And as I grow it out the second time, I know things. I have my routine. And what that gives me is confidence in that what I'm doing and the way I'm taking care of my hair is going to be consistent. So I'm going to take off the hat and we'll get a little look. I haven't done an official hair update in forever. And that's partially because I felt like for a long time I wasn't really making progress. I am so close to being able to tie this up. But if I come from the front of my head, we've passed nose territory. I could almost eat it. So we're like to the mouth, bottom of the lip, which is cool. And then from the side, we're here. And if I were to pull it straight, we are just about to the top of the collar on my shirt. And in the back, kind of similar situation. We're a little like lower collar, just touching the shirt when I straighten it. However, I have like curly hair, so we're sitting, again, below the top of the collar, generally speaking. I'll do a little bit of this kind of thing. This is kind of where I be at the minute. And I'm really looking forward to being able to tie up again. Like I said, if I were to get it together back here, which I do, when I was on their podcast, I tied my hair up and they were like, whoa, how'd you do that? And it's like a weird muscle memory sweeping motion. So I make this L shape and kind of sweep that around my head a little bit and just kind of grab it all. I have these crazy front bits that are not going anywhere anytime soon, so they're not going to make it in, but I can get a good clump. And I'm hoping by the time we reach that 1 year mark on March 16th, that I will be able to tie my hair up 1 year on from donating. So that's a little bit about where I'm at. We're going to stick with the hat because I'm digging the hat right now. But my routine, which I've mentioned, is so every other week I alternate days with conditioning. So for example, today I shampooed and conditioned. I will skip conditioner tomorrow. So today's Friday. I always shampoo on Fridays. I will skip conditioner tomorrow, and then Sunday, and then Tuesday and Thursday I will condition this week. And then Friday I'll shampoo, and then Saturday I'll condition, Monday, Wednesday. I don't know that specific alternating necessarily does anything specific for me, but I find that not conditioning all the time is actually really good for my hair because otherwise I get a little oily. And then by the time I get to Friday, it's ready to be refreshed. And then on the first Friday of every month, I use Epic Cleanse, or not Epic Cleanse, I got that so wrong. Power Clean. Epic Cleanse is their typical shampoo. So I'll do Power Clean first Friday. That is like a stripping shampoo, so it gets everything out. I will do that once a month, really get in there and clean out the system. And then every Friday remaining in the month, I use Ideal Conditions. And then my conditioner, of course, is Ideal I mixed up the names of everything, y'all. Epic Cleanse is shampoo. Power Clean is the once a month shampoo, first Friday, and then Ideal Conditions is the conditioner every other day. Other products I use, I actually just found, along with this hat, some of the Birch Glen beard oil. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. I put a little in there tonight on a dry beard, and it helped a little bit, but I'll have to do that tomorrow when I can really massage in there when I got the damp beard hairs. So that's the plan there. I'm letting the beard go pretty naturally. I really don't trust myself as a blind guy to be able to shave like an even and clean it up. I don't like that anyway. I hate overly clean things with hair. It's your hair, man. There's a reason that the long hair's moniker is Let It Ride. It's let it be what it is, Doesn't mean don't take care of it, but let it exist as it does, and don't be afraid of that. So that's a big lesson I've taken from hair growth, because one thing that I've learned is, as a blind person, I'm going to get judged when I walk into a room because I have a cane, because I can't look at things in the same way, because I read with my fingers. People are going to find a reason, if they want to judge me as a blind person. That's also going to happen with hair. Whether you have short hair, long hair, somewhere in between hair, awkward stage hair, like I'm kind of on the reverse end of, but people are going to find a reason to judge you no matter what happens. And what I've learned is that moniker of Let It Ride is really about just be yourself. Let it ride, dude. Be who you are. Do what you're here to do. Be respectful. Be a good person. And when you actually, a lot of people say these things. All right, there's a lot of content on the internet about being a good person without meaning it. And what I found with the long hairs is a group of people that backs it up. And just from their donations with children with hair loss, to sharing important stories about like when kids are getting bullied with long hair, they're right there to go to bat for these kids. And it means a lot to be a part of a community that genuinely supports those of us growing out our hair, to the point where, if you don't know, I have the bound shears. I'm hoping they're in frame, tattooed on my arm, that I got when I went to the Great Cut. And for me, this is what it comes down to. When you talk about, okay, how do you grow out your hair when you can't see? I do it the same way everybody else does. I just have an amazingly supportive community behind me. And what I've learned over the last several years is it doesn't really matter if I can see it or not. It's what's behind it, and what's behind it needs to be, obviously your hair health is important. Having people who can help me out when I do have blind guy questions, that's great. That's an added bonus. But when you glue it all together, having a group, an organization, a company behind what you're doing, who believes in why you want to do it, who believes in who you are. And I've always thought that about the long hairs, and since I went to the Great Cut, now I know that about Chris and Lindsay and all the other guys, Elefante, El Gustavo. They all have their monikers. If you don't know, there's El Rubio, El Moreno, that's Chris and Lindsay, and then mine, which I'm super excited about, is El Ciego, and that's the Spanish word for blind. But I think that's a cool moniker that I want to get. I should have put that on my business card or something. But point being, hair growth is about your hair. Obviously, it's on your head. But what I've learned as someone who can't see a lot of the details of the nuance of the thing is that just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But whether I could see it or not, it doesn't matter if it's there. It's about letting it ride. And I have taken that on in a very literal way of, this is who I am. My hair, it's not who I am as a person, but it is a part of me in more ways than just being something that comes off my head. And I, get shaved off every 3 weeks to maintain an image. And for me, this matters. This hair right here has been grown in a year where I have moved into a house, gotten engaged, had an amazing trip. The rest of that trip in San Diego was fantastic. And in that time, I've grown as a person. I've grown in my professional life. I've started programs with my kids and seen things happen with them that I couldn't have fathomed, and this hair has been a part of that. And when I donate it in 2030 at the Great Cut, this hair, this experience here, will go to a kiddo who needs it, so that they don't get thrown under the bus in a time, in a place in their life where they're not equipped, they're not comfortable, they're not able to navigate other people having other opinions that are stupid and misconceptions. But for that kid, it might be the difference between being able to be confident and really struggling with who they are as a person because someone says they're not good enough without hair. So all of this entire rambly video to say, the process of growing hair has been one that's very personal to me, and the long hairs have been a big part of that, and I really appreciate it. If you have any specific questions for me about how I've done anything specific with hair, non-visually, I'm happy to either make future videos or answer questions in the comments, anything like that. This was very rambly. I warned you at the beginning. If you stuck it out until the end, comment, release the shears so that we can all, actually, no, wait, no. Don't say that. Bind the shears. Grow out your hair. If you've been thinking about it, do it. Comment, bind the shears if you made it this far. Appreciate you guys. Peace. Actually, wait. Let's end this right.